Hello and welcome to Wicklow Good News with me, Jillian Godsil. Today my guest is Cllr Jodie Neary, who is in charge of the Greystones Bee Root Project. Woo, the Bee Root Project. What is that all about? Please tell me.
Yeah, well, it started off when I love growing sunflowers, and I ended up with too many seedlings and no home for them. And I thought, well, it'd be nice to give them away to other people. They're giant Russian sunflowers. They're huge, and they'll produce hundreds of seeds when they're in bloom. And then I approached Tidy Towns and I said to them, why don't we create something like a bee root, or where people could plant these sunflowers in their gardens, get them to plant a pollinator-friendly plot, and then we can, see if we can map this bee root and just see what kind of shape it takes over the course of the summer months. And bigger, large-scale projects have been done before in places like Sweden, in urban places where they've had bee highways, where they're trying to bring in more pollinators into city settings. And now we are in suburban settings as such. I just thought it would be really nice to do that here. And as far as I know, and I've put out the call, it's the first of its kind in Ireland, which kind of adds to the novelty of it. And it's just something that I think has been really good for, trying to get people to understand the importance of biodiversity, but actually have a local buy-in factor as well. Because a lot of the national campaigns and programs and plans and policy, people won't hear about them, and it doesn't have that sense of local, it doesn't have a local element to it. And I think that's what's missing a lot with national policy. So this was something that people could physically grab, a sunflower, a lavender that we were providing, and
these
create
are
a
both
pollinator-friendly pack.
That bees love.
They're bees love. So sunflowers are like pollen bombs, they call them. They just burst out and if you stand near them, it's actually irritating, but they are great for bees, especially at the end of the summer. And lavender particularly is really good as well. So what I did with the Greystones Tidy Towns, Marie was great. She said, well, why don't I source some lavender? You have the sunflowers, and put them together and we'll create a bee starter pack. And why don't we go out to Burnaby Park in Greystones, which was on the 23rd, and give them out. And we gave them out for free. But I thought I'd get a dozen people, maybe less. I had no expectations. We got 45 people.
Oh my goodness.
And there were more on their way, except it started to lash rain, and I had to pack up and go at that stage.
So you have 45 people, obviously socially distanced, but they're all coming up and collecting.
Different times coming up, yeah. And most of them had heard about it online. But some of them were just, were very curious at this activity and came over and said, oh, what are you doing? Are you selling flowers? I said, no, here, it's free. Oh, what's it for? And kids coming up as well, they had heard about it. And I was reminding them, keep your sunflower, because we just might have a sunflower growing competition at the end of the summer. Because they can grow up to 2.5 meters tall.
I was going to ask, how tall is that compared to a human? I think in feet.
Well, if you think social distancing is 2 meters and just a little extra,
that's tall. That's
another quarter.
Do they have to be planted in very deep soil then, or can they be in a pot?
No, they're they're not fussy. The only thing with them is they like water. So I tend to water mine every day, especially with the gorgeous weather we've been having. And just when they're a seedling, I keep them in the kitchen on the windowsill or anywhere there's a bit of warmth and light, because slugs love them, and mine have been ravaged overnight. So people use eggshells, and there's lots of different ways to kind of keep them off. And once they're tall enough, they should be able to fight off.
How tall is tall enough? Give me an idea.
Yeah, I would say kind of the length of your
okay, so maybe
your arm.
I'm still very old-fashioned, aren't I? I'm sure that's something in centimeters.
And I'm terrible at measuring.
Okay, that's good. I mean,
I'd say a foot.
Elbow to your hand. Okay, then you can put them out then. Because I learned something recently. I was listening to Aina Lilana, and she was told, I love her, and she was saying that these daffodils, I don't hold them at all, because there's nothing in the daffodil for the bees. And she was saying what you need is your dandelions, the humble dandelions, and the whole thing about don't mow let the dandelions come to bloom, and then when they go to the seed, then you mow your lawn.
Yeah, one of my first calls when I first became councillor was, can we stop mowing the lawns? We're not using them. We're stuck inside. This was out when restrictions were at the height. And look at, you walk past some areas and you think there's a beehive. I've looked for beehives and there aren't any. It's just bees. That's how many bees are coming to wild flowers or just, the dandelions and the daisies. They're all coming out because honestly, a lot of those pretty flowers that we like, that we know so well and are so iconic of Easter time, they don't have pollen in them, or, they're not alive to attract pollinators, and so while they're lovely, we do have to remember, well, can we also encourage some of those traditional everyday things that we've always considered weeds? And in my mind, I don't like the word weed. I think we should love the weed again, there's obviously where not mowing means you're cutting off access for people to recreational areas. That's fine. Keep a path open, keep access open, but where we don't really need the grass verges or the edges of estates, we have lots of little grass patches, let it grow, because they'll do the best thing for biodiversity.
That is so cool. So you've done 1 week already. Now we're recording this, it won't go out until next week, but on Saturday, this coming Saturday, you're doing another bee starter kit giveaway in Charlesland in Greystones. And you're hoping maybe, obviously this weather, you should get a whole bunch more people coming out, giving out the little starters and the lavender, because lavender is beautiful, of course, as well. And then, so what's the idea then? Tell me about the bee route. Tell me what are your plans there?
Yeah, so Charlesland it's due to popular demand. So 45 came to the first collection day for the bee route starter packs. But I've since had another 45 on top of that. So I nearly have 100 people who've been in touch with me in various different ways looking for them. So clearly that there's more demand out there. So we're going to go to Charlesland because Greystones Tidy Towns will be there anyway, carrying out annual maintenance, and they have been instrumental in this project. So we want to go down there together. Social distancing, of course, but what's for the future, I would love to go, and I'd love to extend this bee route to Kilcool and Newcastle and Delgany, anywhere that I represent as a councillor. The only problem is I've a dozen seedlings. I do have a couple of hundred of seeds, which I harvested from my last year's crop. It makes it sound like I had a field of them. I didn't, but while I have enough for Greystones, I've gotten lots of people coming in from Kilcool, Newcastle, asking for them as well. I know the demand is there. I'll need to source a whole bunch more sunflower seed, and the specific one, as well, the giant Russian, which is good for the pollen. I need to source them, and if I ordering online, it could take weeks. I might miss the opportunity to do this, and then so I'm going to work with the various other tidy towns and see if we can find a solution to that. But I would prefer particular sunflower seed that I am looking for is the giant Russian. Yeah. And
then the plan is that you're going to, hopefully all the children, particularly the families that take these starter packs, will they register with you, and then you'll be able to get an idea of if they have little, pollinator friendly, spots in the back of the garden, to build like a path throughout Greystones and Wicklow.
Yeah, so I probably didn't explain that bit. So the starter pack, everyone will take it, plant a pollinator friendly plot, and the idea then is, well, as they take the pack, people have signed their name and their Gmail or email address. That way I can contact them in a few weeks' time, because what I want to do is to map where each of those sunflowers are. And that's where we can see generally the shape of the bee route and how it's taking shape across Greystones. It just would be a really great way to visualize locally our impact on biodiversity. And it's a great way for that community buy-in that I was talking about before. It kind of lacks in national campaigns. And then after that, it would be great if I'm encouraging everyone to keep their sunflower and love it as much as they can, because we would love to have a sunflower growing competition at the end of the summer. to see who can grow the tallest sunflower. And, as we were saying before, they can grow up to 2.5 meters. So that's kind of the trajectory of the project over the next summer months. I just have to work out as well what the best way to map people's gardens is safely, within GDPR guidelines. And there are various ways, and I just have to kind of look at what would work for this project.
Do you know, and I don't know the answer to this, with bees, do they travel a long distance? Like, would they keep on going, or would they stay? It's a kind of really nice fat, bunch of flowers, and would they just stay there? It really depends on the species, and there are just so many of them. You'd be amazed at how many different species they are and how different they all behave. Some of them can travel up to 3 kilometers and then or more, but I think most of them are kind of they like to stay local enough where they can get enough pollen and nectar. But and this is for all different kinds of pollinators as well, not just the bees. So and whether you'll see a bee hopping from one sunflower to the next all the way across Greystones, we'll never know. I doubt that's perhaps
direct route, but we'll never know.
Perhaps that's the story competition you have in conjunction with the tallest plant.
Yes.
The story of Buzzy the bee and what he did and where he went and where she went and found true love and then set up their own little life together. That'd be kind of fun. Bee stories.
That'd be great.
Because we're so lucky.
Add it to the list.
I mean, there are silver linings to this COVID stuff, and because we live in a relatively unpopulated area, and obviously Greystones is quite busy, but it's amazing some of the lovely things, and children are in the garden and they're planting and they're seeing plants and they're growing and they're eating. There's a lot of very positive back to nature stuff, and the weather, of course, is very, very helpful.
Yes, we've been so lucky.
So that's an amazing. I love the idea. So it's the Bee Root Project, and they can find you on Facebook if they want to get more information. You've done one drop already in Barnaby Park. Next is Charlesland, and there might be other ones if you get enough seedlings. But even if not, I'm sure people could even plant, because I think aren't the nurseries open now? People could buy seeds themselves, even if they couldn't get your ones.
Yeah, but I think it's everyone's dealing with COVID restrictions, and people are still generally. Some people are scared to go out. I know myself. I just don't want to face the crowds, to be honest. I love garden centres, but I don't want to face the crowds, and I think because a lot of us are working from home and we're minding our kids now that we don't have childcare, do we have time to do that? Sure. And so trying to make it easier for people, trying to just, here you go, just have fun with it. I'm trying to bring the fun into this and take out the kind of background organization of it all. And I'm sure I can source something. I've just got to sit down and try research a bit. And sure, if anyone's listening and they have a giant box of giant Russian sunflowers, let me know. But look, all else fails, I'll use a different type of sunflower maybe that might be easier to get. I just wanted everyone to start on an even keel, where, especially for the competition bit, if they all had the same species, then they'll have the same chance of winning that sunflower competition. And the prize is yet to be determined.
Well, I love maybe put in the story as well, so that maybe gives a bit of another, because it's capturing kids' imaginations of the idea that this bee root, it's like you can buy sometimes in shops the insect hotels. Yes. Just with the whole idea. So I think it's a super idea. I love it. We all love bees, of course. We all love pollinators. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jodie. That's a really good project. It's a lot of fun. And are your kids involved here? You've got twin
Oh, yes. They're a little bit sick of it now because I'm always pottering about instead of playing princesses with them or whatever it is they have on their mind. But they also, they designed these with my mother. My mother's great with the arts and crafts. They designed the fake sunflowers. So they got bamboo sticks and they did, they just made these lovely sunflower heads, which I brought out at each of the collections. And we have them in our front garden as well. And it's had people stopping and admiring and taking pictures. So
that's probably the type of sunflowers that I could grow.
Yes, I could tell you, anyone can grow those. Yeah.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, and we'll come back and chat with you later on to see how it went and how the kids went and what type of response you get. And I'd love to hear, especially it's such an opening a door for children in these
Yeah.
funny times to plant
And it's
stuff.
important,
Yeah.
that they're involved as well for lots of reasons, even beyond COVID. They don't get a lot of involvement or space to get involved in this is national policy, really bringing it into our gardens, and it's great that the kids can take, because they're going to be the future guardians of this planet, you know, and they're best placed to appreciate what nature offers. And I know with my kids is you know, it's sad that they're already aware of the you know, the decline in population of pollinators, but then the joy that they see when they see them buzzing around in the garden. And so I really want to nourish that and nurture that, you know.
And that means the kids can see they're making a difference.
And physically, they can see the sunflower growing and see the bees coming, and that's I think that's
a great project.
Yeah, it's just great to have.
We'll have you back again for sure. I want to find
Brilliant.
out, see the pictures and the stories behind them all. But Cllr Jodie Neary, thank you so much indeed for your time today. I really enjoyed it. So it's the Bee Root Project. On Facebook, people can find you if they want to find out what's happening, see if there's any more going to be starter kits given out. And I want to thank Marlena Murphy producing and Gavin Dowd on sound. And until next time, be safe, be good, and keep on helping others. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.